Once upon a time, in a land where the sun set low over the vast savannas and the stars whispered ancient tales, there lived a princess named Tara. Her beauty was like the shimmering waters of the river, and her heart was as pure as the sky at dawn. But one day, a cruel fate struck her, and her life would never be the same again. In the midst of her youth, when every girl dreams of beauty and charm, Tara was forced to do something unimaginable. In a world full of greedy and wicked men who roamed like hungry wolves, she was left with no choice but to smear her body with ash and hide her true form. She thought this was the only way to protect herself from the dangers that lurked everywhere. After all, her own father, the king, had shown her the cruelest of betrayals, making her feel that there was no place for her in her own home. Tara's heart sank as she thought of the world outside, filled with predators and danger. But with a heavy heart, she smeared ash all over her body until not even she could recognize herself. She transformed into a woman of darkness, a woman who now appeared as nothing more than a shadow of her former self. One day, she decided to leave the palace and journey to her husband's home in a distant land, far from the memories of her father's betrayal. She hoped that by being in the presence of her husband, she might find a sense of peace. Her thoughts were filled with one idea: to serve her family and be with the man she once loved, without anyone knowing the painful truth of who she really was. As Tara made her way, she came across a humble cart driver, and in exchange for some money, she climbed into his cart. The journey took her to a place called Pratapgarh, where the king, her father-in-law, ruled. However, her appearance now, covered in ash, disfigured, made the palace guards treat her with scorn. They dismissed her as a beggar, chasing her away with harsh words and cruel laughter. Tara's heart shattered as she stood outside, with tears rolling down her cheeks. But she did not give up. She knew that the only person who might still accept her, even in her disguise, was her husband. She made a vow to return the next day, and so she waited for days at the palace gates, hoping for a chance to speak to him. On the fourth day, when she stood at the gate once more, something unexpected happened. The king's son, Prince Abhimanyu, rode past on his horse. Tara, desperate to see him, rushed forward and cried out to him. The guards, as usual, tried to push her away, but Prince Abhimanyu stopped and listened to her plea. He promised her that she would be allowed to enter the palace the following day. The next day, as promised, Tara was allowed inside. But when she entered the palace, everyone looked at her with pity and disdain. She had become a shadow of the woman she once was, but still, she stood tall before them all. When she reached the king, Tara introduced herself as Chanda, a woman who had lost everything and had come to ask for work. The king, skeptical of her appearance, rejected her, saying he already had enough servants. Tara, undeterred, made two conditions. She only wanted 2 meals a day in exchange for her labor, and if she made a mistake, she would accept punishment without question. The king, amused by her audacity, agreed, though he thought her foolish. Tara was given the job of tending to the royal stable, caring for the horses. It was the humblest of duties, but for Tara, it was a step toward her goal of being close to her husband, even if he did not know her true identity. Days passed, and one afternoon, Tara saw her husband, Prince Abhimanyu, standing at the edge of the stables. Her heart leaped in her chest. She wanted to run to him, to throw herself into his arms and tell him everything. But she held back, knowing that it was not yet the time. The prince, unaware of her true identity, saw her and asked her name. Tara, with tears in her eyes, whispered, "Chanda." From that day forward, Tara's care for the horses was impeccable. The animals flourished, and her work earned her the respect of those around her. The prince, though still unaware of her true identity, began to notice her quiet strength and beauty in the way she cared for the stable. As time passed, Tara learned that her husband, Prince Abhimanyu, was being forced into another marriage. His father, King Dharmapal was insistent on it, despite the prince's resistance. Tara's heart ached at the thought of her husband being wed to another woman, but she knew she had to act. One day, in a moment of boldness, Tara decided to confront the woman who was to marry her husband. She journeyed to the home of the princess, where she revealed to her the painful truth. She was Tara, the wife whom the world believed was dead. The princess, moved by Tara's bravery and love for the prince, agreed to stop the wedding. When Prince Abhimanyu learned the truth, he was overwhelmed with emotions. He had never stopped loving his wife, Tara. He confronted his father, declaring that he would never marry another. The prince's love for Tara, his unwavering devotion, was enough to change the course of destiny. Tara's heart, once broken, was healed by the love of her husband. Together they returned to the palace, where they were finally reunited. The king, who had once betrayed his daughter, now begged for her forgiveness, and the kingdom rejoiced as Tara and Abhimanyu were married again. From that day on, Tara and Abhimanyu ruled together, their love stronger than ever. They taught their people that true beauty comes not from what is seen on the outside, but from the purity of the heart. And so, Tara's journey from pain to triumph became a legend, passed down from one generation to the next around many village fires as a testament to love, resilience, and the power of inner strength.